Did this name not once, but twice in the last handful of days. On March 6th, last week, you called it a table pounder. Last night, you said your bullish view was unchanged. There are a lot of questions about the stock. It's been down 7 straight weeks. Why'd you feel compelled to come out and defend it not once, but twice?
Yeah, well, first, we've been talking to investors, all around the world on Tesla, and is this a moment that basically the bull thesis basically gets thrown out because of some of the brand issues, the distractions? And our view is when things are great, okay, anyone could be there. But when things are tough, moments like this, I think that's where we've been able to guide Tesla investors over the decade, right? In terms of these moments. I don't believe that this is really a black swan event for Tesla in terms of the brand issues, in terms of something that could really deteriorate the medium and long-term outlook. But no doubt, we've talked about it. It's a moment of truth for Musk. No one, including ourselves, expected he'd be this involved in Doge, this involved in Trump administration, and it's really cascaded. And I think this is a pivotal moment for him.
Explain to me how you go from your bullish view unchanged, those are your words,
Yep.
last night, to this morning where you put out a note ahead of our appearance where you call it a moment of truth. What happened from last night to this morning where you didn't have that perspective until this morning?
Yeah.
How does this happen?
I think from our perspective, it's more hearing Musk, hearing from investors around the world, and it's basically us saying the medium long-term case for Tesla, I continue to view $2 trillion. I believe when it comes to physical AI, autonomous robotics, they're actually the best position company in the world. But with that said, to hear Musk continue to talk, and again on social media as well, it's really us trying to explain, look, this is the time, very similar as we saw during Twitter, very similar as we saw even call it a year and a half ago. This is the time to lead. It's a time to be CEO, because I think patience is wearing thin among investors, and it was really to communicate those thoughts, and I think a pivotal time for the stock.
The reason why the stock is down seems to be a confluence of events. Obviously, his presence within the administration, as close as he has become, he's become a much more polarizing figure politically. But the facts are the facts. And the facts are that sales are not good. And they haven't been good. Are you taking that into consideration?
Yep.
Sales in China down for the past 5 consecutive months, right? Down 49% in February, the lowest monthly figure since July of 2022. US sales down again last month, down 75% in Euro, 65% in Australia. This has become more of a headline story to an actual fundamental breakdown somewhere.
Yeah, but let's also talk about what's ahead. In other words, the refresh from a Model Y perspective, when you look at a lot of the refreshes that are happening in Europe, in China, in the US, you got the unsupervised FSD in Austin. I continue to believe 90% of the value going forward is going to be autonomous, is going to be robotics when it comes to Optimus. And I believe from a demand perspective, especially when it comes to FSD, 15% of Tesla owners have FSD. That's what we estimate. As that goes to 40, 50%, numbers basically triple in terms of from an EPS perspective as that plays out. And look, I get it. This is a time, have we been dead wrong this year in Tesla? Of course, it's been disaster call. But for 25 years, our best calls are ultimately in times like this, that I believe as you navigate the noise, this will be not just a $1 trillion, but $2 trillion. But it comes down to Musk needs to balance Doge, Tesla CEO. That's something where I think the clock struck midnight.
Okay, let's just take NVIDIA for a minute. It's a good representation of the unwind that's happened in some of these trades. NVIDIA lost $140 billion worth of mega market cap on Monday alone. And we had said last week in the midst of the big drawdown that $1 trillion in market cap was almost wiped out of that name. It's down 28% off of its record high. Jonathan Krinsky suggests oversold. Yeah, it can always get more oversold, but if you're hoping for a good entry point, this is your chance in the markets overall. You take him to heart today. You bought more NVIDIA.
Yeah, I bought quite a few things. I think that this is where price and fundamentals have separated themselves. Because while NVIDIA continues to be entrenched, I mean, look at Corley, which is a private company that their whole business is around NVIDIA GPUs. They just signed a 4 or 5 year deal with a $12 billion deal with OpenAI. This company is getting stronger. I don't know the PEG ratio, but it's very low because the earnings, the growth rate is still very high. The problem with NVIDIA today is sentiment. But what I know about sentiment is sentiment will change because the fundamentals of this company continue to get better and better while the price gets lower and lower. So I think it's a great opportunity to add to this name here. It just seems, to me, it seems like a no-brainer. In the short term, can it go below 100? Sure. But I think 12 to 18 months from now, this company is going to be meaningfully over $109.
Joe, you told our viewers you were going to do it at the close yesterday, buying Amazon. In fact, you did just that. You bought it at just under 194.
Yes, so I'm being tactical and I'm not apologizing for doing so. I think this week there is an opportunity to get a little bit of a moderation in all of the short positioning and the bearish sentiment that's currently unfolding. One of the ways I want to do that is, okay, let's take a look at my personal exposure and where can I put some equity names into that exposure to kind of elevate my capture versus the S&P itself. So I am underweight the Mag 7. If you look at the ownership that we have in the JOTI ETF, we don't have Apple, we don't have Microsoft. Personally, I own none of the Mag 7. So Amazon is the one name that I have been waiting on. I've spoken on air at length about what I perceive to be their leadership, AWS, cloud growth, their ability to expand even further into live sports programming. And this company has showed when they want to accelerate the revenue growth, they can. You've got 7 consecutive quarters of double-digit revenue growth. That's something this company has not seen in quite some time. And I do believe, because of the economy of scale, that they have a degree of resiliency in a recessionary climate. So it's one of the names. I haven't done much lately. I bought some Amgen last week. This week I'm picking up Amazon. I'll take a look at maybe some other names and try and play this tactical bottom. I could be wrong.
So
Sure.
we checked Tesla every day within the A block of our program. We'll do it again. It's getting a little bit of a move today higher, but not much. And it's been almost a 50% drawdown. I mean, at one point it was a 50% drawdown from its last high. It, fully retraced its move up to that high level. Dan Ives is out yet again today defending it. Adam Jonas talks about, well, could you go to 200 and then 800? Maybe that's where this thing's going. Bryn, you bought more of this name too.
Yeah, I think that, could you think of a company this size that has become so divisive and a company more, or a CEO, founder, more hated? And so when it goes to sentiment right now, this stock has all of those ingredients. A big run up in Q4. You have auto sales have been declining in the short term. You've got Doge, etc. And so I feel that the bear case to Adam Jonas's was 200, his bull case is 800, and I think that's what he was saying. For me, I thought the stock was too expensive at 420, 30, 40. I sold calls. I've clearly closed those out. I think that down here, I wanted to add some more exposure because I think the sentiment is just so terrible, and I know that psychology shifts all the time.